So we'll call this meeting of public safety to order. Time is 4:34. I'm joined with counselors online. We have Counselor Davila and we have Counselor Click Bruce. Counselors, thank you so much for coming. Thank you, Lieutenant. And right now, before we get started, we'll just kind of go around the room and do brief introductions of each other. We'll start with over here.
Of course, my name is Emily Cruzado and I am the manager of the Family and Community Engagement Department for the Springfield Public Schools.
Excellent. Okay.
Lieutenant Brian Elliott, Springfield Police Department.
Thank you.
Bill Baker, Chief of Staff, Mayor Sarno.
Excellent.
Jose Escobar, Assistant Superintendent, Springfield Public Schools.
Thank you.
Tim Sheehan, Chief Development Officer for the city.
Excellent. Excellent. So again, thank you again for being here. I wanted to put this meeting together to really discuss obviously the big kind of incident that took place at Union Station last week, and obviously it's raised a lot of concerns. This is actually something I received calls on both prior to the actual incident on June 3rd. I've received several calls about incidents that occurred at Union Station. I did get in contact with the superintendent Akers, and he was very accommodating and got back to me really quick and assured me that they were looking in to the issue. Obviously, it seems to be a truancy issue. So a lot of kids who are skipping school during the hours of the regular school day. So I'm glad that people from the school department are here. I didn't need to invite them originally, but I'm so glad you're here. And yeah, so I know obviously a lot of implications come too with the sheriff's department too. I know obviously SPD had reinforcements from the sheriff's department prior to their budget cuts, and losing some potential reinforcements there. So, and I remember having a meeting on a public safety meeting in regards to that topic earlier as well, and it was told me by Deputy Martin that there could be a potential for a partnership with the state police. So maybe this is a question for you, Lieutenant. Could state police help kind of in partnership with the SPD work in kind of filling those gaps, so to speak?
If we could kind of back up a little bit.
Yeah.
This isn't strictly a juvenile thing. It's not strictly a truancy thing. I wrote the program for the Safe Travels Initiative, so I know all about the Sheriff's Department.
Okay.
I regularly am in touch with the state police. I won't speak on another agency's behalf, but state police isn't the solution. And I can just say that globally. The Sheriff's Department isn't the solution. It's 100% the Springfield Police first.
Yep.
We will gladly partner with outside agencies, collaboratively. And this isn't a mutual aid thing where we are underwater and need help. If they want to join in to try to help and move the needle on a social problem, by all means, of course. But this isn't a stolen car where we need help to apprehend the unknown suspect. This is more of a longitudinal thing. It's happening over the course of time. And speaking with the deputy superintendent here, in short order, we were in the meeting yesterday down at Union Station. I was in the meeting last night with the Springfield Redevelopment Authority. We're at that point where we need to meet, talk about problem identification and program plan. We put a program together and it's a good program. The Safe Travels Initiative, the superintendent reviewed it, approved it, rolled it out in partnership with the Sheriff's Department. Their funding, for whatever reason, evaporated, and that's okay. I planned for that. This is a task force, and the task force is usually it could be one agency that pulls officers of specializes in certain things, or we could add other agencies. We work on federal task forces. We work on all kinds. So I set this up as a task force within the city, within the police department. So we're good on all of that. I've been in touch with the mayor and certainly the superintendent daily basis relative to staffing this. In addition, because we didn't budget for this, we obviously were moving resources, current resources. We're still in FY26. So it's a little bit of a scheduling trick, but the superintendent has given me all the latitude that I need to move resources around internally to make sure that we have minimum staffing requirements, to make sure that there's officers present during peak hours. And then the Springfield Redevelopment Authority has at the 11th hour come in and said they'll put additional resources in so that I can expand those hours to include some of the weekend times that there's the greatest need.
That's great. What are some of those resources from the redevelopment authority? What is that?
Redevelopment Authority has put in over $1 million in security on an annual basis to Union Station. So, what the services that Brian's talking about are enhancing the underlying security budget that the city or that the redevelopment authority already had in play. And to Brian's credit, I mean, he was able to get us more service for at or somewhat less than what we had previously been spending. And it's not just the Springfield Police Department that's down at the station. There's private security as well.
And they're wall to wall when they're open until they close.
Yes.
And then we come in, the sworn officers come in to augment the private security. We have rules of engagement and strategies and programming in place. We're not the tip of the spear here. We're not running around chasing kids. The rules of the station are promulgated by the security, and that's worked out with Appleton Management Corporation. And then if that's not working, then we'll step forward to reinforce the rules, whatever the rules are. And the rules are very common sense based. And that's where there's been a trend. There's no doubt about it. I mean, obviously the mayor was there the other night and he saw some of it. And it's a negative trend downward, but it's not Springfield centric. It's across the country. And Springfield has their share of whatever's going on nationally. So there should be no surprise to anybody, but we have to adjust based on trends. And, we're in conversations now with the school department because some of it involves school kids and some of it is they're non-school kid offenders. And then over the age of majority, so they're not in school, they're adults.
Yep.
And there's issues of addiction, mental health. It's kind of multiple disparate issues that kind of collect in one spot at Union Station. So there's no quick fix. There's no calling in an agency. There's no magic formula that's going to address all of it. It has to be purposeful, planned out, budgeted, and there has to be fidelity to the program. If this is what we all agree we're going to do, everyone has a role. Yesterday, we met with juvenile probation, the head of juvenile probation. The district attorney's office was there. Just after yesterday's meeting, we're going to now have pre-deployment meetings with the district attorney's office and talk about best practices and next steps so that when we do engage, and there's going to be some that end up arrested, there's no doubt about it. What the court system is going to do to involve the parents, we're synchronizing our effort in ways that we typically haven't, but we know we need to do to address a complex problem. This is not a simple fix, but we have the resources and we certainly have the intellectual horsepower to do it. And we have the buy-in from other city, certainly the school department, the SRA, the superintendent has given me a wide berth to work on this. And programming is my expertise.
Programming, you mean just in terms
Law
of
enforcement programming to identify a problem, to put a plan in place, to attach a budget to it, and to make sure that we hit our benchmarks, what we expect to have for outcomes toward the actual outcome, which is settling things down, making this a multimodal transportation center where people can come and just conduct their own business. They want to go on the bus, go on the bus, whether you're a juvenile or an adult. You want to catch Peter Pan or a Greyhound, buy yourself a ticket and go do that. You need to catch Amtrak or CT rail, go upstairs. And all of which is none of our business. And it's no different than going to Bradley Airport or you go to South Station in Boston or whatever. We're just there. We're part of the scene. This is Homeland Security 2026. And that's what we want to reestablish at Union Station.
That's great. So what is, you said you, part of that programming is developing budget. What is it specifically for this?
Well, we didn't budget programs. What superintendent allowed me to move some personnel around, and he's moved some of his officers over to our area to deploy in Union Station. But this conversation wasn't had last year.
I think
This is new.
in just so that you have the background on it, the SRA used to actually deploy extra job details to the station. What's happening now, as Brian said, there's a repositioning of existing staffing from the police department to service Union Station as well. So
Regular on-duty officers on regular
Right.
deployments, not overtime. We've now set up a program where that's part of our daily work. We respond there as a planned response in support program. As opposed to, there's an emergency, I need to have 5
I see what you're
officers
saying, yeah.
respond to an area on overtime. It's not a one and done thing. This is an everyday thing now. This is identifying through analysis, peak times of need, peak times of having our resources present as a deterrent, as an immediate response, and as a consistent message that, you know, any shenanigans all the way up and through criminal behavior is not going to be tolerated.
and I think it's important to note that there's ebbs and flows with this in terms of there's bad days and there's good days. It's not every day that things are occurring.
Right, and typically like seasonal as well.
It's not out of control. Let's be very clear on that. And part of the ebb and flow that you speak of is as soon as we get a group managed, meaning everyone's heading off in the direction, another bus comes. And then you start from zero again. And with social media and the ability, these kids communicate as good, if not better than we do at the police department. And this is all pre-planned, which we may or may not know about or have been told. And they come with the knowledge of what they want to do. We're there and we have to be reactionary. And we need to open up lines of communication with the school department more than we do. We need parents. The one group that we're not talking to are the parents. And then we're going to rely heavily on the school department to have those conversations, hopefully preventatively, so that the message is out there. You know, the mayor came down the other day, he saw what he saw. And he was very clear in his message that this isn't going to be tolerated.
Also should be clear that not all of the youths come from the Springfield Public School System either.
Pioneer Valley Transit are pulling passengers in from Pioneer Valley, the greater Springfield area. The catchment zone are multiple towns and cities. This isn't a Springfield School Department.
24 municipalities.
And this isn't a Springfield Police Department miss. We're trying to manage something that comes in from the greater Springfield area. And it concentrates at the
Centralized here. So I'm just curious, so like, reviewing some of like the articles and the reports, it does make sense. Some of the reports and whatnot that were talking about, they were estimated between 50 and like 70 kids at that one particular incident. Is it possible to identify maybe like roughly like a percentage, how many could have been non-Springfield, either like residents or kids or anything like that? Okay.
And those numbers are not shocking or unrealistic. When you have a bus can carry between 30 and 50 people, depending on the type of bus it is. A Peter Pan coach, I know, will carry 54 people in a seat.
Well, the young lady that the mayor referenced was from Hoyle, correct?
Correct.
She herself was from Holland.
Yeah.
And I just want to give you some perspective from the school department. This is not a new issue for us. We've been working with Union Station for a while, and we get the reports of the trespass. And just to give you some numbers, because I like to work in data.
Yeah.
Over this past year, we had 81 students from Springfield Public Schools trespass. And we have 24,000 students. So if you think about it, that's less than 1%. Out of those 81, and we couldn't identify all the incident times, but identifiably at least 21 of those incidents were not during school hours. So I appreciate the lieutenant talking about the complexity because it's not one issue, it's not one group's problem. It's gonna be a collective process. I work with the probation. I was in a meeting before that incident with probation in the courts, talking about how we address this. So I would just wanted to give some perspective on that. We also have charter school kids. We have, like they said, kids from Holyoke. We dealt with that last year. A lot of kids were coming from Holyoke or Chicopee. Because that's the Union Station, that's the hub, they'll come in and hit transfers. And so not, some kids are overage, and so they look like they're in school. They're 18, 19 years old, maybe graduated. So it's a complex issue. And so that doesn't mean that we're not taking proactive approaches to deal with it. Just from the school department's perspective, we have a couple things that we've been working on for years and that we're implementing. For example, we piloted a texting platform that took period attendance at Central. And what the feedback we got this year is that skipping dramatically decreased at Central.
That's right.
And so what we're gonna be doing next year is we're gonna be implementing that same platform district-wide, because because of this working collaboratively with probation, what we heard was when these kids got trespassed, the parents had no idea that they were skipping. And so in this way, parents are gonna be informed. We can kind of weed out kind of the followers and which ones are really causing the problems. And then we can create a more comprehensive plan of how we're going to address it. The other thing that we're doing, we've been in talks for the past year about creating teams where we're trying to re-engage students that may have dropped out or who are skipping. And so starting in the fall, we're going to have a staff member there 2 days a week and trying to with a team to try to re-engage students back into the school system that may have dropped out or may have, maybe going the wrong path. So from the school department's perspective, we have things in place. We definitely have been proactive on this front, and we're definitely not reactive, and we've had things already in the works. But we definitely want to be a part of the solution because we understand that youth are involved. So whether whether it's after school or whether whenever it happens, we definitely want to be part of that solution. And we're going to work collaboratively with any department agencies to make that happen. But I just wanted to give some real data numbers about how many students are being trespassed from Union Station that are Springfield Public Schools versus we did the numbers, it was less than 1%. Of the students getting trespassed from Springfield Public Schools.
That's a really good point. Nobody should leave thinking that this is isolated only to the Springfield Public School system.
It's a complex social problem that's sweeping the nation. And you're back to your question. Is there any way for me to know? And the answer is no. We see a sea of people, 20, 30, 40, 50 people. Some of them are getting off the bus, have nothing to do with this. They're just there. And everyone's going to stop and pause. That's human nature. They're not involved. And then when we have to respond, we're going to the nucleus of the problem. And we're not there and say, okay, all of you that are present now, you're trespassed. All of you that are present are subject to arrest. That doesn't make any sense. And that's not what we're looking to do. We're looking to stop whatever's wrong, restore some order, and reestablish the rules of this is what you have to do. This is where you have to be. Go about your business.
Yeah.
And, the mayor saw that in play the other day. And this girl from Holyoke, and there was a group that were vocal, they're antisocial, they're criminal in their behavior. And we acted and engaged them and arrested them. I mean, it's that simple. But to paint this with a broad brush of it's juveniles, it's truants, it's all Springfield, couldn't even be further from the truth. And we reject that as a statement. We have to sit down and we have to sort this out outside of an incident where everybody's calm and everyone's rational. And we certainly have the ability to, and we're doing it.
That's right.
Just to tell you how this is really happening, really working. So a bad incident brings us closer together.
Yeah.
And it has, and the systems are working as you would hope they.
It's tremendous. So you're saying that like it's now kind of, or it has been a little bit part of the kind of like the day-to-day of SPD. So what does that like it look like in terms of like how many
It's
officers,
a
like,
post, it's a detail, it's connected to the Safe Travels Initiative, Safe Travel Initiative. And we named that on purpose because it's not anti-juvenile crime to shoot deployment. It's none of that. We just want everyone who's there for purposes of travel. It's not a hangout, it's not a mall. You can get yourself a drink and a bite to eat and get yourself some candy. But everybody there is either there for purposes of travel or they're a commercial real estate tenant who's going to park their car and go to work like we all do. We park our car and we go to work. And they want to just park their car and go to work, and they don't want anything to do with basically anybody who's traveling because they have their own agenda for the day. And so the officers, through Superintendent Akers, we position them down there with an assignment for the day. There's a supervisor there. And it's my job to make sure that they're staffed, they have everything they need. And then I send, most recently, additional officers through there to fortify the officers that are assigned there. Some of these posts were filled by the Sheriff's Department. We're sending the new officers and the field training officers through. We're sending a lot of officers because we just had a class of 50. There was only 4 Sheriff's Department sheriffs there. And now I have 26 new officers assigned temporarily to me, but we're taking advantage of that temporary assignment. I'm sending them through randomly or as needed.
are those 26 part of the new graduating class?
But they also have a field training officer with them. So it's not just 26 new officers standing around. I'm using that as an example of where am I getting all these bodies? I'm telling you where I'm getting these bodies.
It's very important that when sheriffs had to pull out, there was no loss of personnel.
Oh,
As soon as the sheriffs pulled out, we did not lose police presence or public security presence.
continuity of enforcement is consistent.
Those bodies that left from the sheriff's office were supplemented by Springfield police officers. So the sheriff's office was just a force multiplier that complemented Springfield.
In addition on top of it.
Exactly. So when those bodies were removed, Springfield PD just inserted the bodies to replace them.
And the relationship is strong and there's a mutual respect. And if tomorrow they call me and say, hey, we're good to go, I have a place for them and they'll be woven in without delay. That's it. And as far as the state police, you raised it earlier, so I might as well finish that piece. They have a community action team and we're out through basically the whole city. Our unit has become the conduit relationship with the state. And when they're not working elsewhere and they're up in Holyoke, they're all over the place in Western Mass. We've opened our door and said, hey, when you get some time or you want to come and partner up with us, by all means. And they do when they can. But it's on occasion and it's not planned deployments.
Mayor has had communications with Colonel Noble from the state police. And they've been more than generous helping us with the dirt bike patrols with the eyes in the skies on the helicopter, supplementing and
Right.
partnering with the Springfield Police for certain events.
So we're across the
So it's a
city,
great partnership.
not to concentrate their support at Union Station.
And they're kind of as needed basis.
It's a finite resource that
Yeah.
they offer, and we make good use of it when it's.
That's great. So I do see we have either a comment or question from Counselor Cliff Bruce. Take it away if you'd like to speak.
Thank you, Chair. I just want to make a sort of a comment and really hone in on what Lieutenant Elliott has been saying. It's a complex situation. I know I've been involved with this for over the years. Obviously dealing with the youth and working with the Shanning and all the other complexities that come with my job. So I know we've been having these discussions for quite some time. And I really look forward to just working with the Springfield Police Department and also Jose Escobano and his team and everybody coming together to make sure, we calm that situation down at Union Station. So, and a lot of it is also putting in some legislation at the state office as well, which I won't get into at this point in time, but really just here to support our police and our school department, and just let you guys know that you guys are doing a great job, and I'm here to support anytime that you need me. So thank you, Chair.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Counselor.
Counselor.
I do want to give Counselor Lamar a quick shout out too. I think it was a couple of years ago when we had another incident. The mayor got all the community centers together and did a universal community center pass to hand out to juveniles and youth to go to the community center, whether it's the Springfield Boys and Girls Club, the South End Community Center, and it's a universal pass. So they were not turned away at any of the community centers across the state
Oh, that's great.
to
Is
use
it,
all those programs and resources. And they have their own internal database to track. So if someone went to the South End Community Center for basketball, or they went to the Boys and Girls Club for the pool, that paper trail followed so they could track where that particular child was going and utilizing those programs.
that's tremendous. Is that a program that is being utilized this year? And if not, can
I believe so. Yeah, I think it's,
So-
I don't think they
Still
cracked
active?
it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Was
we have, it's basically through our Shannon Grant partners.
Yep.
So,
Okay.
and that's something the passes we're looking to bring back, but we still have it in effect to lead with our Shannon Grant partners.
And following up on Shannon Grant, they are doing a pop-up event at Union Station on the 17th. They had one there previously in April, I think it was.
Okay,
So, yeah, our Shannon partners are gonna be at Union Station, and they're all throughout the community with working with the Springfield Police Department, doing outreach and stuff. All the partners do a great job.
that's great. That's great. Yeah, I mean, again, I wanted just to put this meeting together to hear this explanation and to hear plans that you guys are working through. Obviously, I support Superintendent Akers and the efforts that you're doing as well, Lieutenant. Like what Councilor Clipper said, in conjunction with the school department. I know you guys are doing great work putting this together and making sure things run smoothly for our citizens. So I appreciate you guys taking the time to be here and give us this information. Look forward to this going out and going to the public. But before we wrap it up, Councilor Davlu, would you like to say something?
Yes, I do. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah.
All right. First of all, thank you everybody for being there. Lieutenant Elliott, Tim, good to see you. And everybody else, Cubano. I'm going to, there was a lot that was said here today. But before I say anything, I want to, first of all, thank you guys, because I'm aware that you guys are working on this situation. However, I'm going to speak to you not only as a city councilor, but also as a concerned husband. My wife goes and takes the bus daily to that station on a daily basis. And she works in a nearby building. I myself, a public servant, have personally witnessed the nonsense that happens there. This is nothing new. This has happened before. Maybe not to this magnitude, but there has been some serious issues before. Overdoses, psychiatric calls, drunkenness, you name it. And like the lieutenant said, this is a national trend, and this is a social problem. So it takes more than the cops to solve this problem. However, just because it's a national trend does not satisfy me. We need to address this issue here. And I know you guys are going to tell me that you are addressing it, and I know you will. And there's more conversation to be had, in my opinion, Mr. Chair, on this. But let me ask you something, if I may, Lieutenant Elliott. I want to make sure that I understood you correctly. So you're saying that you have some 26 new officers, and they rotate as part of their regular duty to patrol the Union Station. Is that what I heard?
Well, those new officers are connected to training officers. So,
Uh-huh.
and it's not all 26 at once. It's spread out over, days off and all of that, but yeah, so we're utilizing them out of the metro office.
Right.
And I send them down every morning, depending on who's there and what's going on. And we have to look at the day's business. But based on need, based on time of day, based on weather, there's a whole host of contributing factors on the decision on who's going down there when.
So my succinct question, is, do we have assigned SPD officers to be there every second of the day as an extra detail or part of on a regular basis? No rotating on a regular basis.
We're there, if the station's open 16 hours, we've been covering close to 16 hours, Monday through Friday. And on the
Right.
weekends, based on need, and that's in collaboration with the building management, when they see that they're either having an event or there's an expectation that they're gonna need some help. So we're not 24/7, the station's not open 24/7.
No,
We're there for, I would say, more than 2/3 of their operating day.
okay, so about, okay, 60% more. Now, who's footing the bill for this?
The superintendent and the mayor,
Okay,
because these are on-duty officers
that's what.
on FY 26 budget, which we've had to reorganize some things to get there because I'm speaking out of turn here, but I don't believe the superintendent asked for additional funding to
No.
fund the Safe Travels Initiative.
Right.
So that's why I'm working hard with scheduling this time of year to make sure that we have good coverage.
Lieutenant, respectfully, sir,
And it's not an overtime thing. This is on-duty personnel.
overtime, well, overtime is a concern of mine, of course, but you know,
Sure.
I'm never going to be afraid to spend overtime to
Right.
maintain law and order and to preserve life. So respectfully, if I may, Lieutenant, I think you're trying to do a good job, but I think you're chasing your own tail, not of your own doing. You said a little while ago, you finish with one crowd, another bus pulls up. So this is literally a full-time job. But if I may, Timmy, good to see you, Tim Shan. Is the SRA helping us financially with the offices there? At all?
The SRA pays for the extra details that are on top of what the department's assigned to the station. And it also pays for the private security staff that's there. The
Right.
SRA on an annual basis pays approximately $1 million in security for Union Station.
Yeah, but that includes the private security, right?
That's correct.
Okay. So we have officers that rotate through there. Are you telling me then that the SRA pays for officers to be there as extra detail during business hours?
Yes.
Okay, so I want to be clear because to be honest with you, I'm hearing otherwise. So you're telling me that every day, every second of the day while they're open, there's going to be a police officer there paid by the SRA.
I am not saying that. I am saying that on top of the assigned officers that Brian assigns, there's extra detailed officers that come in to supplement that as well. And on top of that, there's the private security.
Right. So are there times in which there's no extra detail officers there?
There are times that there are no extra detail officers there, but there are assigned officers that are there out of the assignment pool that Brian has been.
Which we are paying for.
Which
Now,
is-
that $1 million, does that include cameras, all the equipment, or is that just manpower?
I'm sorry, I missed the question.
The $1 million that you keep talking about, is that for cameras, manpower, or just manpower, just salaries for
It's manpower.
just so between the police detail, extra detail, and the security, they spend $1 million a year.
That is correct.
And there might be times that there was not a extra police officer there. We fall back to our guys. That's basically the plan, right?
I think Lieutenant Elliott was just saying that on the weekends, it becomes more of a question if there's actually a need to have an officer at the station. But there's always some level of security at the station when the station is open to the public.
No, I get that, but I will argue to you, Tim, that something is not working. Something is not working, and I know because I've been there. I'm not just, I've been there in different capacities. Something is not working here. And so I understand about using our guys. Maybe the SRA can foot the bill more and put extra SPD officers and extra detail, but I'm very concerned. And I'm being a little, consequential on this because I am very, very concerned. Which we all are. And so with that, as I said, Mr. Chair, I think.
Well, it should be clear, Counselor, should be clear to you that SPD actually has come up with the plan. And if we need to modify the plan, we certainly can modify it. But
Timmy, I'm very aware they come up with a plan.
the SRA is not the expert in terms of security for the building. We are relying on the police department to give us a plan. We've got the plan. We've been implementing the plan.
Tim, I realize who's who. I realize who's doing what. I don't know what gave you the impression that I don't realize that. If something is not working, anything happens to that building, it does not belong to the city, it belongs to the SRA.
Well, one thing I can tell you that's not working is people that are coming off of the buses that get on for free fare. There is no acknowledgement or registration for free fare. So we have no idea who's coming into the station from those buses.
Well, you're talking about registration, and that could be is part of the solution.
We think it is part of the solution.
Well, if it is, then it is. But what I'm saying to you, where we stand right now at this moment, I am very concerned. I am concerned that
as well, Counselor.
Tim, let me finish speaking, please. And please don't get defensive. I'm just telling my observations. I opened by saying that I realize you're working hard, but I'm very concerned, one, as a husband, and two, as a counselor. I am speaking because I live in the trenches as well. I'm concerned. I think, Mr. Chair, there has got to be more conversation about this, and we just cannot sit back and wait for something big to happen. So plus I'm concerned with the money that we are putting up. We're sending officers there because now Lieutenant Elliott has to send officers to the Union Station, which is fine. But then who's taking care of the rest of the city? That's a legitimate question. So anyways, there's more to be discussed here, in my opinion, Mr. Chair. And Lieutenant Elliott, I do thank you, sir. I do respect what you do. I believe in your talent. Tim, I also appreciate your work that you do. And because I know you work hard, especially to have downtown to be a place that we can be proud of.
Thank you, Counselor.
Thank you. And thank you, Mr. Chair.
You're welcome. I do want to also acknowledge we have Councilor Hurst joining us via remote too. I do kind of want to ask a follow-up question to what Councilor Davila seemed to have raised. If we do go through like a registration process, Tim, would that be through the PVTA? Could that be through the city? What does that process look like? Because I do believe that we should have, a fare-free system. I think it's traditional right now as prices are going up. So if we were to do a registration process or have a track system, would that be in conjunction with the city and the PVTA? Would that be just the PVTA?
Can I just add real quick that?
Yeah.
The mayor does support free fare.
Yes, I
system.
saw the follow-up.
Yeah, it's just the structured system of how it's rolled out. And we understand the PVTA is a regional transit authority funded by the state. And it would be extremely difficult. I know the PVTA shared that just having Springfield registration. So it would have to be a system-wide. That would have to fall on PVTA. Tim?
My understanding from PVTA is that would require action from the advisory board as well as the legislature.
And I wonder, does either, somebody from the mayor's office, has that registration process been done in other regions in the state as well? Or would we be the first to kind of go forward?
Every conveyance that you get on requires a ticket. And it could be a free ticket issued to you, and then you know who's on your vehicle, whatever it is, planes, train, cab. Everything has a start and a stop. I mean, we all went to school, we all had a bus, and there was either bus tokens or an ID or something. With all the software that's available, I don't think this is a heavy lift. It's an expense. And this isn't an exercise to deny access. We're not saying that you can't enjoy a free ride on the bus. It's just who's on your bus. And we're not telling you how long you can stay on the bus. But we now know who's standing in the busway at PVTA, just like we would know who's standing at the busway if they're standing next to Greyhound or Peter Pan. And there are times where we get a call and it's like, hey, there's somebody on one of those named carriers. This is the bus they got on, this is where they left, and then we'll go down there for some level of engagement.
Well, and as you brought up, God forbid there be an incident on the bus itself. Nobody that's in a security role would have any understanding of who's on that bus.
Yeah, I think identification is the key.
We would
So-
have no idea, and we'd have to count on the driver. How many people are we looking for? I have no idea. Was your bus full? That would be the question we would ask. And then we'd have to count seats. You know, and in this day and age, that's not good.
Yeah.
And we have people that we know use the bus, people that work here, and Counselor Nevertheless, wife is on there. We would want to make sure that we accounted for everybody.
Like I said, I think having that identification, if that requires a registration process, I think, like you said, it's not a heavy lift. I would support that. But I see.
And that's the structure I think the mayor's talking about.
Yeah, so, any other support for that, let me know. I'd be happy to support that structural system. Counselor Hurst, I see you have your hand up. Counselor Hurst, we can't really hear you that well. Hello?
Hello, can you hear me now?
Yes, sir. Counselor, yes, we can hear you.
Are there, okay, are there any cameras on the PBTA?
There are cameras on the buses.
So we wouldn't know based off of the cameras who is frequent this is if there's a disturbance on the bus, no?
Counselor, again, you were kind of breaking up a little bit as well. I don't know if.
Gotcha. So
It's a bad area.
can you hear me now or no? If not, then I'll defer.
No, we're kind of getting you
Defer.
choppy in and out. All right.
That's all right. That's all
All right. I think he was saying if there's cameras on the bus.
Yes.
There are cameras.
I think the issue is a camera's not telling you effectively who's on the bus specifically. If somebody had to scan something that actually gave their identification that they were on the bus, I think that's the point that Lieutenant Elliott they're indicating that if there's something, I think you used the example, if there was an awful accident that happened with the bus.
Right.
You wouldn't know specifically the roster of people that are on the bus. And I don't know what the accessibility from the main hub of PVTA, I don't know if it's a direct feed or what, but I don't think the camera is going to tell you who exactly is
name.
riding it.
Yeah.
The camera is just a general view, whether it's a video or still shots. And we use that camera system. If there's an assault or there's something that is connected to the bus, and we do investigations all the time, but we have to go to PVTA, we have to get that bus back. The bus has to be downloaded. And then we have to go through the process of obtaining that video and then processing it. And that's all of an hour or more. And our duty to act is immediate. So there is a delay in any type of data recovery, which is a video or whatever.
So it'd be similar to your body.
I have experience doing that. Whatever we have has to be downloaded, captured, reworked, and then disseminated.
A chartered bus is gonna give you a log of everybody who's on that
Printout.
bus, a printout of it. You can't get on a plane without having identified who you are, and there's a roster for the plane of everybody who's on a plane.
Interestingly,
A train is the same way.
right. One of the mothers that was at the meeting yesterday said that Six Flags, you can't get into Six Flags unless you show positive ID, and they will not let anyone in under the age of 21 without being accompanied by someone who is 21, older. You have to have somebody 21. So now of the age of majority, which is 18, they upped it to 21. And that's a positive ID. And then they'll spot check in the park. So IDs are important for purposes of access
And safety.
and safety. Well, it's
Safety.
100% safety.
I also wanted just to give some perspective too around like what our kids are doing. Because we have a lot of kids right here in the Mass Live building. They take early college. So they're taking the PVTA to STIC, to HCC. They're taking the throughout the day. And that's not the only early college program we have. So I just wanted to give some context. So I think, you know, just coming in and sweeping in and you know, question every single kid, you know, one, we don't know if they're, again, adults 18. So now you run into the risk of like, you're questioning kids, somebody that looks young, or somebody that's going to college or something. So we don't want to create an environment where we're harassing people, but at the same time, we need some accountability. So, you know, I just wanted to give some of that perspective.
And
too.
this has nothing to do with the police. We're not looking to create checkpoints
Right, yeah.
and you know, access restriction area. We're not set up for it. We don't have the manpower for it. And that's certainly the last thing that we're looking to get about.
And I think that's why it's really important that we continue this collaboration. Again, this is, I know Counselor Click Bruce was at the meeting last year when we were talking about this. He's been a part of it, the school department, the police, probation. And so as we collaborate, there's going to be incidents of, you know, things that happen, but we're going to continue to work to making sure that we're being creative, that we're using technology, and that we're continue to look at the problem and saying, like, how can we improve?
If we had the ID, however, if somebody created the disturbance at the station, we would be able to go back to PVTA and say, did they come here via the bus? Then PVTA would be able to say, you came to the Union Station, you created a disturbance at Union Station. You no longer have services from the PVTA.
And to build on that, PVT would say you came on bus 123 off of Sumner Avenue. We can go get the video and verify all of that. We can see where they got on, where they got off. You know, that gives us the opportunity to work it backwards. If need be.
Yeah.
And that's what we need. Because otherwise it's a sea of kids. And we said that, is there any way to identify them? It's a sea of kids. A sea of riders, let me say, in their youth, adults, whatever, whoever got off the bus.
Right.
It's a sea of people. And we can't hand sort. I don't have 100 officers there. And that would be improbable.
And then meanwhile, that first bus coming in, somebody's texting to say, I'm at the station now. Then the next bus comes in, they know that their friends are at the station, so that now you're getting a group that started with maybe 4.
Correct.
It's now going up to 12, and then it gets to 25,
Exactly.
and then it becomes a problem.
Right, and there's no way to really track.
Right.
At what point they came in.
The bottom line is, we're just trying to create a safe place for transit. So people of all age can use it to go to work, medical appointments, families, visits, whatever. It's that 1% that are the troublemakers.
Correct.
And if we could just create a system to isolate them and remove them from the equation, it's a peaceful, safe transit for everyone.
Yeah, it seems like registration, identification is really like the key to keep that fair free
It's
bus.
part of the solution.
Yeah.
Parents are a big part of it. Notification that these kids are not going where they're supposed to go and they may be hanging around Union Station. I'd much rather have the school let them know than us calling them from 50 East Street saying we have your kid. We would much rather be ahead preventatively.
And as I had conversation with probation, and I don't know if I mentioned this earlier, but they've told me directly that they've had kids trespass, and the first time parents are hearing about it was when they go to court.
Correct.
So this is why we're being proactive to eliminate at least that part of it, that parents don't know their kids
Sharing
not in
information,
school.
that's a big.
And I just wanted to bring up, because there was other conversations around kids showing IDs, but as this conversation really uncovered, that not every student is a Springfield Public School student.
Right.
So just showing ID and saying, can I, I'm a student, I can get on the bus, or show an ID. They can say, I'm not from Springfield Public Schools, I'm from Chicopee, from Holyoke, I'm from wherever. I'm not in school, I'm 18, I dropped whatever. And so just showing a student ID from Springfield Public Schools is not
enough.
It's not not gonna really solve that problem. But we're working again collaboratively and to come up with solutions.
Well, that's great. Again, I can't thank you all enough for being here and again explaining all this. I think did a great job, and I have full confidence in our school department and our police department to get done with this. And like I said, if any sign off on a structured system or anything like that, you myself, I'd be happy to do that. And again, so Councilor Hurst, you want to try again? See if you can.
Yeah, let me see if I can try it. You guys hear me?
Yes, we can. Yes, we can.
All right. Just a quick question. You all said that this issue is not new. This is the issue that you all started to work on last year. Is that correct?
Yeah, well, from my point entry into this was last year. School department got involved with Union Station.
Okay. And so the collaboration that is occurring now did not happen last year. Is that correct?
Well, we're increasing for sure the collaboration between the school department and the police department.
Yes, so just to answer some of that, so there were things that came out of it. Obviously, it's a year out, so not everything. So one was the sheriff's committed to putting officers there. On our end, that's when we started piloting the texting platform, just to at least on our end notify parents on the skipping, and so that pilot went well. So there was some things that came out of it, obviously not enough, because we're here again this year. But just to give you some context about what happened last year.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you. I won't ask any more questions as I did come in late.
All right. Thank you, Counselor. So again, thank you guys all for coming. Meeting adjourned 5:25.